Hey folks, welcome. Here we discuss real stories by real people. Today we have the story of a man who finds out his wife had an affair with his best friend and that he isn't the father of their child. Let's see how it goes. Story 1. My wife, 48, and I, 50, had our only child, who was in college in our late 20s. She was our world and meant a lot to us. We had been married for more than 20 years. Like most marriages, our marriage had been a roller coaster ride but with more good times. We were committed to making our marriage work, and we did everything within our power to make that happen. We understood each other and compromised when need be. Even though our marriage was 20 years plus, we tried to keep it evergreen by going on dates as often as we could. We also organized vacations, picnics, and celebrated birthdays like it was our last. Our daughter saw us as her role model. She adored us and was always willing to do whatever we asked of her. With a meek and socially responsible daughter and a caring and dutiful wife, my family was the very definition of the perfect camera. I was determined to keep my family and love them just as much as they valued me. One day, tragedy struck. My wife was involved in a terrible accident that could have claimed her life. I heaved a sigh of relief when I got to the hospital and discovered that there wasn't going to be any surgery, and everyone came out of the accident with their life. I was told that my wife didn't sustain any serious injury at all. I was allowed into the ward where I saw her. We talked, and she assured me she was okay. She only had a couple of bruises and nothing more. She was required to stay in the hospital for a week so they could watch her blood pressure. It had gone high due to the frightening incident. The next morning, I came visiting, but as I approached the door, I discovered she was on the phone. I thought it was a business call, so I decided to wait outside, knowing how the slightest movement could distract her. From where I stood close to the door, I could hear her saying that she was still with him. As I continued to eavesdrop on their conversation, I was able to piece together what she was saying, and what I learned broke me. She had been cheating on me. She didn't mention when this started, but I deduced that it had been going on for decades because, according to her, our child was his. Our lovely daughter who adored me was not mine. I didn't say a word about it and acted normal. I decided to do a paternity test secretly. The result was that she wasn't mine biologically. When I confronted my wife with the truth, she denied it at first. However, there was evidence to back up my claims, so she had no other choice but to open up to me. She revealed that around the time she conceived, she had been having a relationship with my best friend right under my nose, but she stopped it long ago. She also revealed that our daughter was his child. I'm devastated. My whole world is falling apart rapidly. So many thoughts on what I can do are running through my mind, but I don't know which one to pick. I feel betrayed and downcast. Is our marriage fixable? It's difficult to imagine not having my wife, but how do I cope with someone whom I no longer trust? I don't know what to do. I'm going crazy thinking of the right choice and would appreciate your suggestions. How do I handle this? Update. Hi, I'm sorry I took this long to update you all. It's been a roller coaster of emotions and silent battles for me. Your suggestions were incredibly helpful. I divorced her regardless of her incessant begging. Her final request was that I should never reveal to our daughter that she was the child of someone else, and I agreed. At first, my daughter turned away from her mother. Even though I didn't tell her about the real cause of the split, she insisted that her mother was responsible for our divorce. She was inconsolable. She was mad at us and she hated her mother. For a couple of days, she refused to return to college and turned away her friends who came to visit and offer her condolences. I tried to make her understand that the divorce came as a result of me and her mother reaching an agreement and deciding that we were no longer interested in the marriage. I'm happy that she has started regaining herself slowly. She also hugs me a little longer and moves around with her friends. She no longer glares at me, but she still keeps telling me how much she hated her mother for breaking our family. For me at first, it was much harder than I thought it would be. I lost both my best friend, I stopped talking to him, and my wife at the same time. It was difficult trying to do the regular things I did with my wife in her absence. I didn't realize how much she had become a part of me till we divorced. My recovery came later than my daughter's. This was because there was no one to console me, no one to feel the ache in my chest, and therefore most nights, I had teardrops constantly soaking my pillows. I decided to put myself out there again. I socialized and made new friends in my workplace and other social groups. It paid off. I met a beautiful lady who showed interest in me just as I was interested in her. At first, I was skeptical about what might happen, if she would break my heart and lie to me like my ex-wife. But I'm trying it out to see how it goes. I've decided to adopt optimism and open myself to the possibility of having a new chapter in someone's life and vice versa. I have also bumped into my ex-wife several times, and every time she was always pleading with me to come back to her. She looked so miserable, and I felt sorry for her. But my sorry was always quickly replaced with anger and resentment. We shared something special, and if she hadn't sown deceit and infidelity into our marriage, we would have lived together till old age and spent our last days in each other's arms. Whatever she was going through, she deserved that and more. Time really does heal broken hearts, OP. It's good to know that you're finally doing well and living a good life without your ex-wife. Divorcing her must have been hard, but you did it anyway, because there was no way for you to trust her anymore. And every relationship needs trust. Your ex-wife doesn't deserve your sympathy. She brought everything that's happening all on herself. She chooses to have an affair with your best friend and keep it from you for years. I'm glad your relationship with your daughter is still going strong, and I hope this new lady proves to be way better than your ex with time. Good luck, OP. Story 2. My 28 male ex-girlfriend Julie of 3 years cheated on me. Had a 2-month EAPA with a coworker. She ended it and came clean. D-Day was November. I was devastated and broke up. They got back together for a month and then he ended it. I think he had an LDR he was trying to salvage. As I was pretty broken, I approached an old friend, Andrea, when this happened. Divorced mom, 2 kids. She helped me through this as her ex-husband left her for an AP. Her husband has the kids on the weekends. She gets lonely and has had a tough time with that for over a year. You guessed it. We got drunk one weekend and hooked up. This was back in December. Here I am, now firmly planted in my first FWB relationship. We're both on the same page with this, and it works great. She's 100% dialed into her kids during the week. Occasional text, then we spend the weekends together. Out of the blue last week, Julie texted me and wanted to talk. She wanted to try and reconcile. I was pretty blunt and told her I was seeing someone. Julie does not know Andrea as an FWB. Julie requested that we try and slowly talk through things, wanted to address unresolved issues. I do not want to reconcile, but I do have a lot I need to get off my chest. I told her I would think about this. I asked Andrea what she thought. Her advice shocked me. She said I should talk to Julie and that I did need to resolve things. She said it would be unhealthy for us if I did not do this. Andrea said she still wanted to see me on weekends provided I was exclusive with her sexually. If I ever decided to get back with Julie, she said she wanted to end things and requested we go NC. Sitting here Sunday completely uncomfortable with all of this. Spent Friday night and all Saturday with Andrea, and am going to dinner Tuesday with Julie. My thoughts now are to have this dinner and talk through things. Get closure and move the hell on from Julie. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to move on. Thoughts? Update. Against the overwhelming advice to not meet up with my ex, I did it. It really sucked, but in the end, I'm very glad I did and finally feel like I have true closure on that chapter of my life. I do now think she was trying to get back together. No doubt she was in a very lost state of mind. Without all the details, some key discussion points. She asked me if I could ever forgive her and if I hate her. I told her the truth and that I really do not have any feelings for her either way. I accept what she did, and it's not my burden to figure out why or to rationalize. She wanted me desperately to somehow console her or something. I just said I was out of the picture, and this is between herself and her conscience. My advice was, you need to get past what you did to me and focus on what you allowed yourself to do. Who you allowed yourself to be. I thought that was pretty good. She asked if I thought we could ever be together again. Not why she was there, of course, but down the road. I told her that when I decided we needed to break up, I struggled for days after my decision. I told her it was the hardest time of my life. It was because you told me it was over, you had no feelings for AP, you wanted us. You really did show remorse. It's when you got back with AP after you said to me it was over, that's when my decision became unwavering. There's no way, not ever. She asked about Andrea, and I was pretty blunt in saying it's none of your business. Finally, she acknowledged my stance on things and said that while she hoped for a different outcome, she expected this. She asked me if we could remain in contact, maybe develop a friendship at some point. We agreed it best to go our separate ways. It was hard to see her so upset. I thought I would feel some vindication, but did not. Enough of this. Texted Andrea when I got home. Got the closure I needed, thanks. Her response? Thumbs up. I cannot emphasize how awkward and bad this sucked and how this could have made more of a mess. Totally got where everyone was coming from. Coming out the other side of this was right for me. Thanks for listening, folks. Peace out. Glad you got closure, OP. Everyone would tell you what they feel is best for you, but you're also allowed to pick and do what you think is best for you. You felt you had to meet Julie for closure, and you did, and it seemed it helped you in letting go and moving forward. You deserve better than Julie. I don't know how things will go with Andrea, but she seems like a good person. If you eventually do develop feelings for her, I hope she feels the same too. But if not, that's okay too. I'm sure you'll find that person who's for you out there. Take care, OP. Now for some comments. Now you have the understanding of why this is not always a good idea, especially since you had already made up your mind about all of this. You, however, did your ex a favor by setting up this meeting. She will use this as a learning moment, and she gets closure. Must say, very mature and enlightened the way you handled this. You have also learned and have grown from this experience. Regardless of what people say, closure is important. It's been 30 years since my spouse betrayed me and left me for the AP. I never got closure. Hell, I never even got a chance to say goodbye. The only thing I got was about 20 years ago, out of the blue she called me to say she regretted the mistake she made in her youth, which I took as regretting our marriage. I told her I don't think about it anymore, but the reality is I still do ask myself, why? I guess I'll never get the whole story, at least this side of heaven. The only reason Julie is considering reconciliation is because it didn't work out with the AP. She's hoping there's a chance it will work out with her second choice, you. Were I you, go to the dinner with Julie and offload everything you want to. Then hear her out if you really want to. Get whatever closure you need, but do not consider reconciliation. Your ex showed you who she really is in just 3 years. There's no chance of a long-term future that will be happy for you. As a side note, I would text Andrea after the dinner and thank her. Let her know that she helped you through this difficult time in your life, and possibly see if you two can take the next step, if that's something you want. Either way, it'll go a long way letting her know how much she's helped you through something she went through.